Hello and welcome to the Crunch Time After Show here at AFTERBUZZ TV. This week we're talking about episode 3, The Business, and we're talking about what we would do in the brain frame. It's going to get real weird in here. Let's go.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
The shades are so appropriate, Mark. They're so good.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I like that we're all like headbanging and Mark's just like serious business.
You can't not do it. It's so good. It's so good. I love this show. I love this intro music.
It's very Tron Legacy, and I'm just like, I love it so much. Oh, so good. So good.
Well, what is up? If you haven't guessed, we are. This is the AFTERBUZZ After Show for episode 3 of Crunch Time, guys. I'm excited to be here.
I am too. It's so exciting.
We are back.
Yes.
My name is Patrick Dees. You can find me on Twitter at P2TheDees, and I am joined by the entire Rooster team. To my left, it's Mark B. Donica.
I am the internet's Mark B. Donica.
You are.
Patrick, this is weird. We're trying to switch up all of our different seating assignments for all of our different shows. Assignments. And
it's calling roll.
This is the first time we're doing Boys vs. Girls.
Let's be real. If I'm not in seat 1, I'm in seat 4.
We don't stand a chance. I don't think. It's like if I were a betting man, there's no way we win this. Not a chance.
Kiss. Wait, what?
Next to Mark, down the row, we've got Ms. Megan Salinas.
Hey guys, you can tweet at me at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin.
And the woman who's always in seat 1 or seat 4.
At least for RoosterTeeth shows.
Right, for sure.
Seat 14.
Hi, all my buddies. You can find me on Twitter at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. We have the hashtag ABTV Crunch Time, which we've already got people talking in that. And we have the live chat. We've already got people talking in that too. I love you guys. If you have something fun to say, throw it in the hashtag, throw it in the live chat. You may well get a shout out. Thank you, Caitlin Geddes, who tweeted, "Home just in time for ABTV Crunch Time is what I call winning."
Winning.
Is what I call winning?
Winning.
I love it.
Win here, win there, win everywhere.
So good. And we want to involve people in the hashtag for one of our questions we're talking about later.
Yeah, sure.
So as you guys know, this episode, if you're watching this, you probably have seen episode 3 of Crunch Time. You know that.
If you haven't, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Stop this immediately.
If you haven't, get your free month of RoosterTeeth first sponsorship right now.
Yeah, do the thing. Win the stuff. Ruby is starting this Saturday.
It's true.
Guys.
More on that at the end of the show.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Great. But tweet at us, use that hashtag, let us know what you would purchase, what your ideal brain frame scenario would be. We're going to get into it. What you would pay money for, we want to know.
Pay all that money.
Pay all that money. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic.
I'm
I
excited
like
to
this
be back
show
here.
a lot.
I do too, right? I've been thinking about this after show since we closed the last one. I'm pretty excited about it.
I dislike Sam more than I like the show.
Is that true?
That's very strong.
Wow.
I don't like his character.
I'm telling you,
pretty
he's
awful.
the villain.
Yeah, I'm probably.
At this point,
More
because
than
this is
likely.
the second time around for Megan and I watching these episodes and going, everything bad that happens because of him.
Yeah.
And we're definitely going to see more of that in episode 4. I decided that we should all be on the same page, so I caught up to episode 4 as well. But we're not
Have you
talking about
seen
that.
episode 4?
I have seen episode 4, and I
good.
stopped at 4.
But that's next week, y'all. We're doing it episode by episode now.
Which took a lot of self-control because they're all available right now. I know, and it was real tough for me not to just go, well, I can see 5 and 6, but...
But we are, no spoilers for us, you guys. We've all seen episode 4, but neither of us have seen 5 or 6.
Nope.
And we're doing this episode by episode now, so please no spoilers. We adore you. You've been very, very good at that so far, and we really super appreciate it.
I do love, you're always living on the edge about spoilers, right? I feel like normally I'm just like, I gotta ingest it all, but you like very frequently have told Twitter, just nope, just do not, and like I think people have
I'm
treated you all
on
right.
Tumblr. Tumblr's really good at not spoiling me. Twitter's really bad.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I've definitely for like stuff that I come in for AfterBuzz. There's stuff that airs on the East Coast, but we watch the West Coast feed, and I'm like, I can't wait to see what happens on tonight's episode. Oh, what's that? A direct notification, and I look, and I'm like, God.
Oh no.
And it's a GIF of like
worst.
the thing that happens in that episode.
Yep. I get that specifically for one show that I do here.
Which show is that?
I'm not naming names,
fair
otherwise I would have said so.
Fair enough.
They know who they are.
Fair enough.
You know who you are. You know what you did.
Right.
It is Halloween season.
It is.
Really quickly, before we get into the episode, I do want to mention a shout out to Andrew Disney, one of the co-creators, who watched our episode, enjoyed our episode that we did 2 weeks ago, and he's kind of in on this ride with us, trying to catch up. And we are trying desperately to get him into the studio. He is interested. We're interested. We hope that our ships pass in the night. But
Yes.
thank you for taking the time out
to actually watch and comment on fantastic fan theories and things like that. Like, it's really cool when creators take an interest in what the fans have to say.
Totally.
Because like a lot of and we love obviously our audience and like the relationship that we have with everybody who watches our Rooster Teeth shows. But like a lot of times I just feel like we're just four friends talking about TV shows that we like at a table, you know, just talking into the ether. Yes, absolutely. So when the co-creator of a show is like, "Hey, I like that theory." It's like, "You watched?
Yeah.
What?"
It's always weird when Senpai notices you.
Well, but that was an exceptional pull though last week, Mark. I'm not gonna lie, the puppy pull. The puppy.
Moving forward, I still think that there's some relevance to it, but we're not talking about that until next week.
Yeah.
So let's talk about episode
More,
3.
Yeah, we'll get there a little bit.
I want to hear
So-
more on your theory.
Yeah, no,
That sounds so great.
we'll get there. I think
More
there's an
on is
evolution
right.
for sure.
But
Well, so,
Tish.
answer me this, guys. Like, how did you guys feel about this compared to the first couple of episodes? Because tonally, it's a bit of a shift.
I kind of liked that we went straight into the nitty gritty of it. Like that, you know, this is the type of people, and you know, we know this from the trailer that was kind of like the path they were going to be going on. And I like that they just dove right into it. That they were like, we need money. And we're also morally ambiguous people.
Yeah.
At best.
At best. Why not make a little bit of money on this thing that is, you know, revolutionary?
Absolutely. No, they definitely doubled down on the whole, I think we talked about it last week, the Always Sunny in Philadelphia thing, right? Like they're just all, like, it's going to be a downward spiral, I feel like, and this is the beginning of that, so I'm pretty excited about it.
I love just the idea that, like, we could use this to change the world and also make money. That's those two things.
So,
That is against my strict code of ethics, or I'll report you to the dean. All right, so how much are we talking?
Totally. And like, if I had $1 for every time I've heard that pitch too, like, regardless of whatever somebody's selling, they're like, we could change the world. Oh yeah, and we're gonna make some money as well. I kind of.
That's the most important part of the pitch.
Oh, for sure.
I just feel so
world.
bad that he keeps getting pushed around by the dollar sign. Like, do you want your grant to disappear? Oh well, I fund your lab and I'll pull your funding. Like, he's just getting dragged everywhere because of money, and I just feel bad for him. He does not deserve this.
We're going to see, actually. As a matter of fact, we're going to see. Go ahead.
Well, when we get to them handing out the ads,
my God.
I think he starts to deserve it a little bit more.
100%. Well, let's get into it. So, like, we have this cold open, right? And we open on this Berkman orgy to Strawberry Fields. Mark, paint this picture. Do you remember how this opens?
Oh, do I remember? Do you remember how the forces...
You're the one who's going to remember this.
Isn't this how nightmares start? It's more like the actual thing.
So what is going on here? Oh, I'm sorry. The glasses.
I'm going double. It's okay.
I love it.
This was Berkman's, one of Berkman's many fantasies, presumably. The song had me bewitched the whole time.
Totally.
Like the song was my favorite part of the entire scene because it was just weird. But then Larry messing up the whole having a penis thing.
Just that small.
Larry! Like the first thing is Larry, and God, it disrupted the dream, which sort of set up for how in the dream you can still sort of mess it up. You don't have to be outside of it, which we saw a little bit of in the first couple episodes.
It's good to establish early. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I love the little bit. You can hear what they're saying, what the women are saying as they're walking off, and one of the things they say is, "Let's just go have sex with each other."
She puts on the sweatpants. She's like, "No, you don't need that."
Oh, dang it!
Deflation.
It was just rough.
Deflation of what? It popped.
Well, no, but then it came back. No, that was things like, and we're good. Like Larry's like,
not anymore.
Yep,
we're good
I found it. Yep, we're good.
No.
Lost it in the Matrix.
But yeah,
Talk about playing hide the sausage, hide the salami.
Nope. That is not
I
what they're
will not
doing.
talk about that, as a matter of fact.
But yeah, it is very cool that they set up early on in a very comedic way, so you don't necessarily think about it too much, but like that things can go wrong and that they are not wholly in control of this crazy fringe science that they're messing with.
Yep. And really not only sets the tone, but also that this is the thing of fantasy, right? I love this setup when he talks about, he says 222,000 hours of your lifetime are asleep, 9,000 days, 25 years wasted. And in that lab, we were dreamers.
We were dreamers.
It's so good. I do also like the fact when he says, we don't want to hear about your three-ways, and technically it was a four-way, and then he gets his face slammed off the desk again. Real good.
I still think there's something about these agents, man.
Do you?
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
So last, if you missed it last week, we also posted it on the ABTV Rooster Team YouTube page.
Yep.
But essentially, I feel like Larry's in control of the whole situation. We can't find him. He's nowhere to be found.
Nope.
And there's certain things that are popping up in the backgrounds that make it feel like we got a puppy master on the controls on the ones and twos, and they seem very textbook.
Yeah.
Like this episode especially, they were very good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
Like textbook good cop, bad cop that you would see in a movie. And especially adding the violence against Berkman, and how Larry and Berkman interact. Especially there was a short that came out a couple weeks ago that was Berkman giving Larry like romance tips.
Yeah,
What a perfect time to get revenge is
Totally.
I'm gonna get somebody else to beat the crap out of him so I don't have to do it and I'll look like the good guy.
Right.
So it seems like another opportunity to reveal itself that Larry is in fact the person in charge.
You know,
Interesting.
You know what I'd like? And maybe this is prediction territory, but I like that idea. I'd also really like if these guys weren't real cops or real government agents. I'd really love it if they were actually, the basically the henchmen of a rival tech company.
A shadow corporation.
Yeah, a shadow
Men in Black.
I like that so
Strax.
much. I like that. They're developing their own brain frame type clone, and they're just pumping them for information.
Exactly.
They're
That's so
basically
good.
hammer tech.
Yes. Oh, I like
To
that.
Stark, yeah.
I like it.
But they got to save the world from said black hole before
Yeah.
they can make money off of this.
Sure, they're working out the bugs, right? Yeah. And one of those
testing.
unforeseen, consequences, or black holes. So they immediately set up the fact that they need some money, right? So we cut to the dean. We're sitting in this room with the dean. Megan, what did you think about the dean? What was your impression there?
I mean, it was kind of classic 80s. It was that classic, like, oh, that dean, that stuffy dean.
Yeah.
But, like, at the same time, it's like, this is clearly a corrupt individual because he can't just ask two of his researchers for $18,000 out of pocket.
Right.
Like, that's shady.
That seems a little weird, right?
Like, I mean, you get that, this guy, his dad has tons of money and that he's a benefactor of the school and everything like that. But I feel like you can't just ask for $18,000. Like, that's not on the up and up.
Right.
I feel like the school should have a repair budget built in somewhere. Like you always kind of have, I hesitate to call it a rainy day budget, but you leave a little wiggle room in case something happens that must be replaced.
Well, at the very least, insurance.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
He's completely BSing them.
Right.
Students don't pay for repairs to a building because of a laboratory
And
accident.
he's rounding up.
Yeah.
It's a power play, to be sure.
Oh, yeah.
And it goes a little deeper in the next episode, but it feels like he's just trying to figure out a way to get back at these two specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the dean, and again, classic
Well, I
80s,
know,
like
right?
the
Yeah,
dean has it out for them.
Totally. Totally.
And again, we have this rich guy whose name is on the building, and we have his failure of a human being's son. So I can just imagine the dean being like,
Well,
And he
because
knows
you
his
know that last
insecurities,
name.
too.
Totally right. Like he's terrified. Like the only thing that my father that likes less than hearing about my failures is hearing them from other people. Like that
Hearing
just
them
broke me.
Yeah.
Like the poor guy.
Yeah, it's one of those. It goes back and forth. We're talking about how he's potentially a villain, but like he's so pathetic that he's still a person. But he's so pathetic that it's hard not to feel bad for him, even though we're getting lots of indications that he's very much heading on the path of like straight up supervillainy.
But this
Yeah.
never would have happened if he hadn't, dragged his ex down there. It's still his fault.
Yeah.
This is a supervillain origin story.
It really is.
100%.
It absolutely is.
100%. Well, and they leave there a little dejected, right? So like Sam and
Yeah.
Connor are walking back, and Sam says like, they trade insults about being the impediment, right? And he's like, I don't think you know what an impediment was. And then Sam comes back with if I lose my grant, I'm naming you in my suicide note. It was unbelievable.
You're an asshole.
Right?
That's one of the most dickish thing you can say.
It was
dark.
unbelievable. I know.
Beyond
There,
dark.
yeah.
But god damn, awful.
Well, it kind of paints a picture too. Science is this guy's life, and he doesn't have the means to do science.
And I mean,
What
he
else
is
is
here
his
on a
life
full
work, right?
scholarship.
Right, totally. And it's his life's work, and just being upside down like that over his screw up, be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Be a nightmare. So we come back to the lab, and this is one of my favorite Connor moments of all. They come back in there and they're trying to explain to Larry they're just fire sailing it, right? And it's over, and Larry asked if it was his fault. He says, not yours, but like a big part of it was yours, which is what like I was just feeling really bad for Connor, and then I he took it out on Larry of all people.
Why would you take it out on
That just seems
Larry's
like
the
a
punching bag
The
here.
Puppy Master.
His middle name is Punching Bag.
It really is.
For God's sake.
And it's sad because I like Larry because he's just so kind. He's the caboose of this show. Let's be real.
And like when he says it's mostly your fault, he's like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I know, totally. He just agrees with it. He's like such a doormat. It was rough. It was hard to watch.
Do I get any of it? You're an intern.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. No money for him. But he accepts it. He's like,
Yeah.
Get
at least he gets to keep the
back.
dog. At least he gets to keep the dog. But your comment on him being the caboose of this episode goes a lot deeper, because if anybody's familiar with the deep recesses of Caboose's mind, we're in for some crazy shit with Larry.
This is true.
Talk like a pirate dream.
Oh my God, yes.
He goes on to say that a girl came into the lab and you were just starting to make consistent eye contact, right? Like the bar is so low for this guy. It's tough. It's tough to watch.
He spends all of his time in a danky, low lit laboratory, just getting dumped on.
Yeah.
by other
Does he
people.
go to this school? Who is Larry?
Like, no wonder he loves the puppies so much.
Who is Larry?
I totally agree, right? Like, no
Like,
wonder puppies are what
the
makes sense to
puppies-
him.
The puppies are probably the one thing in his life that give him positive affirmation, because puppies just love everyone.
Oh,
The
100%.
puppies accept him.
Aww.
Warts and all.
So we're setting up this whole how they transition to the business, and we cut back to Hannah and her mom, and this is maybe
Her aunt?
Aunt, correct. One of my favorite scenes in the entire episode. I kind of love this. Do you remember how this starts, Katie? You got that smile, like.
I just remember the have another lesbian face. Wait, say that again. Have another lesbian face.
No,
Have another lesbian.
the
Clearer,
other
please.
part.
That's absolutely what stuck in my mind, because just the repetition of what?
Yeah, no, totally. So that's one of the things. We'll get there in 2 seconds. I love how this opens up with the nightmare, right? The phone
Yeah.
rings,
Yeah.
and then Felice Navidad shows back up. We see her hacked in half.
Por
It's
Santa, no!
so good.
Yeah, and I mean, that again, it's a common thing in like 80s horror movie tropes, is the fake out dream. And it was nice that since we had like a big 80s horror movie in the last episode, it was nice to get that, bit. It was great.
And I'm waiting for the fact that she's been having continual nightmares ever since that happened, like
Right.
every time she sleeps. And then by the end of this, she becomes the third anchor. I'm waiting for that to come back around in terms of plot.
Oh, interesting. I hadn't even thought about that. I thought it was. Oh, that was good that there was some like still PTSD from that whole episode, that she didn't leave and like everything was fine and like things are great, and she's gonna.
I'm not dreading falling asleep. I'm not dreading every
Right.
time I close my eyes.
Totally.
I'm just excited we keep getting the return of the candy chainsaw.
Candy
Yes.
chainsaw.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that actor too. It's only like bite-sized pieces, but
But perfect.
He's wonderful, and I adore him.
Perfect. I was really hoping you had a hat on in here this week too, Megan.
well, surprise!
Should have brought it.
If we eventually, one of my favorite 80s horror movies ever, and by one of, I mean probably my favorite, is Dream Warriors.
Okay, I thought you were
Nightmare
gonna
on
say
Elm Street.
Santa's sleigh.
No!
While we were
that-
talking about it.
Might as well go with rubber
I
while
have
we're down
seen
that
that
aisle.
movie. I have seen that movie. But Dream Warriors, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, I'm waiting for, like, it's entirely possible that like, the whole premise of that movie is these kids using, like, their dreams to fight back against this
Yeah.
malevolent force. I would love it if at some point Hannah uses Mexican Santa to attack
Oh,
somebody.
as a weapon in
As
her
a
arsenal?
weapon,
I
yeah, that
love
she
that.
learns to control.
That's so good. Mark looks pensive. You just broke Mark.
Just like an avatar. Like a
Go forth and conquer. A
Pacific,
giant mechanized Mexican
mechanized
Santa?
Mexican Santa.
Yes.
Mexican.
There's something there.
Mexican.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she got it right.
Mexican.
I'll let it go. I'll let it go.
I like that.
I'll allow it.
Listen, I think the thing I loved so much about the scene was, like, again, to your point, Katie, she says, like, have another lesbian scene. And obviously, Hannah knows her aunt, right? Knows that she had the scene. I wanted to ask you guys, have you, like, through the course of conversations, as you've gotten to know your parents and or your aunts and uncles, have you gotten to know them as a person and learned some stuff that kind of threw you off kilter a little bit, like realigned your perception of maybe who they were when you were a kid?
Yeah, more not so much as an adult, like, because this is stuff you notice when you're coming of age, of like the realization that your parents aren't perfect and everything like that. For me, it was finding out that my parents in high school were actually kind of troublemakers. Like, they got into trouble a little bit. Like, there was a day where my great-grandma was over, and she was talking to my grandpa and my mom, and she's like, I remember, you know, talking to my mom.
Sure.
I remember when you went onto the water tower and wrote, I'm queen for a day. And my mom, like kind of a deer in the headlights, she's like, well, no, I didn't write I'm queen for a day, Grandma. I actually just wrote my name. Also, Dad, I snuck out of the house in high school and defaced the water tower. That's a thing I did. And I'm sitting here going like, I'm a little goody two-shoes.
Yeah, no, totally. That's your get out of jail free card.
It's in your blood, man.
Forever. No matter what you do, you're like, water tower.
Water tower.
That's all I said.
Remember, Mom, I'm queen for a day, or whatever you wrote.
I would be dropping
your name
consistently. I mean, forever. Katie, what about you?
My mom was a party girl in college.
Was she? When did you learn this, though?
When I was talking with her about when I was in college, actually, and she's like, you should go out for sororities, you should do recruitment. And so I did, and she started telling me her sorority stories about how they would get kiddie pools and everyone would bring a bottle of liquor and you just mix it all in there and then you lie on the floor with a straw and that's your drink for the night. And how she had a bottle of liquor that, you know, had a really tiny top and really, wow, I'm lacking words, but, you know, very round at the bottom.
Okay.
Like
And she was trying to get it back to the sorority house, and so she put it in her coat. So she's carrying this in her coat, and the campus security stops her and goes, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm fine, mentally thinking, I didn't drink that much. And they go, well, okay, in your condition, you probably shouldn't be walking that far. Can we give you a ride?
That's amazing.
They thought she was
pregnant. And I got so much grief when I was growing up for being a nerd, and then my mom tells me, yeah, we didn't have DVR when I was your age. I used to schedule my college classes around Star Trek reruns. And I'm like, you don't get to say anything anymore.
That's so good.
Brilliant.
Mark.
Like, it runs in the family.
Yeah. No, it's
You know where you get it
nature
from.
and nurture. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, jeez.
For me, it wasn't anything too huge. It was just like leaps of. I didn't know you did that.
Like
my,
really?
my dad talked about how he went to London for like 7 months. He like lived in London for a short period of time. And when I was just there for my honeymoon, he was like, "Oh, go here, there." And it's like, "How do you know so much about that?" "Oh yeah, I was there with some buds for a couple months." And when did that happen? And I found out my grandfather was took several trips to Jamaica. I have no idea why, but my dad told me this. Like, oh, that must have been when he was in Jamaica. When was he in Jamaica?
Yeah.
This was after he passed, so I couldn't ask him about it. I was like, what? You're making Grandpa so much more interesting. Not to say that he wasn't interesting, but now I can't. Exactly. Now I can't ask him more about it.
It's so cool. It's so interesting when that stuff shows up. I think mine actually happened relatively recently, and I hope I don't get shit for saying this on the internet, but my sister recently was married, and when she had been, we were all at a family dinner kind of discussing the idea of marriage, and my sister's the youngest, and she was kind of like, yeah, I think he's going to propose, and talking to my mom and dad about it. My dad, very casually at the dinner table, drops this, well, you know, just make sure you get it right, Barbara, because, you know, the first woman that I proposed to said no, and thank God, because I married your mother, and you guys are all here, and my mother just very politely looks up from what she was eating and was like, we'll talk after dinner, John. Like, could you, like, married at 35 years at this point, and, like, all of us were like, what?
Even Mom didn't know.
No, my mom didn't know, much less the rest of us. No, she clearly did not. So she looked like a champ, and my mom was such a pro, just like, we'll talk after dinner, John. All right.
Oh my God.
But I love those moments when you're like, you're
We're
really,
like, oh yeah, my parents are a person.
that's the word. They're a person, right? And so I kind of loved this moment, like in the show, because like it very much just like humanizes your aunts and your parents. I love that so much. It's one of the reasons that I really dig this show. It's just those moments.
Mike's Vlogs in chat says it's insane when you have those Marty McFly moments.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
For sure.
You drink, you smoke.
Yeah.
And if we're talking about grandparents, my grandma was overseas during World War II. She was a nurse. Evidently, she obtained a small dog and then lost it in Paris and delayed leaving to go back to the States until she could find her small dog in Paris.
Wow.
So this is my grandma who's coming back from D-Day, coming back from being an army nurse, got a dog when she was definitely not supposed to, lost the dog, waited to find the dog before she went home. Like,
It's an illegal foreign dog.
Your grandma's so badass. It's amazing.
she also used to feed squirrels in her backyard and named them all.
This
Well,
is for
again,
your
she
grandma.
served a D-Day. Like, that's badass.
She told us that you could tell how many people were coming back on the boat by how low it sat in the water.
Oh, I love it.
It was, yep.
Shout out to our puppy master, Steven, who's in the booth and has been literally looking for any opportunity to play that song.
In honor of the dog, she brought over Snoop Dogg. I'm assuming.
I kind of
Grandma Cullen was a total
literally any
badass.
opening for that. So like it occurs to her when she says, so she skips right over the lesbian thing. Let's get back to Hannah. Hannah's aunt says, I would pay anything to get back to that type of experience. And it dawns on Hannah, they can monetize this bitch. Let's make some money.
She starts seeing she starts seeing dollar signs, and she's like, let's
Fat
develop
stacks?
a
Were you going for fat stacks?
Facts, yeah. I believe the phrase you were looking
dollar
for was making it rain.
Money, 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 money.
So she leaves there and she goes back to the lab and she pitches the gang on this idea. Do you remember how this went? What's going on in this scene for you guys?
I just love Berkman coming in and going, you stole my idea again.
Stole my idea.
And then absolutely
did.
making it up. And Mexican Santa coming up, that's a really good idea, Berkman. That totally didn't happen.
Well, so that's a little bit later. That's one of my favorite
Yeah.
Berkman moments. But I really dig...
But the way she pitched it to them, yeah.
Right? Well, and I think there was this whole, she acknowledges there was a crazy, fucked up, terrible time, and she was just talking about how she's kind of this had just changed. I don't know what how to language that right, but it was exciting and real and in the moment, and she'd kind of been on this routine. She was just talking to Ann about.
You did a terrible thing to me, and you're not forgiven, but we can do some good with this,
right?
And also make boatloads of cash, and that's really the only reason why I'm talking to any of you.
Yeah.
She seemed thrilled by it, right?
Yeah.
Though, what a cool moment that somebody have something totally recontextualize this terrible,
Now,
traumatic event.
Quick question,
Sure.
though, just because we had the dream fake out earlier. Is there a and we see that things in the brain frame when we get to it don't exactly go as planned. Is there a chance that someone being in the brain frame when something goes wrong, we know that the cerebral hangover is a thing, and we know that there are by the end of this episode, physical things can happen to you. But what are the odds of something going wrong in the brain frame and that messing with your mind to the point where when you're out of it, you start hallucinating?
That'd be interesting.
It messes with your perception of reality.
Well, I mean, I think that goes to
a waking dream.
However deep somebody can dream. I think that's a person by person basis. I think that's definitely a possibility, but it would have to be something extreme, I figure.
Well, but I mean, after a couple of days of straight sleep deprivation, human beings do start to hallucinate.
Yeah.
People have seen walls randomly catch on fire and stuff like that. They just...
That was a plot device in the new Nightmare on Elm Street reboot, which was a terrible movie, but it was a good plot device.
It was a learning point.
Because that's scientific. That's a thing. You look at the timeline of sleep deprivation, and after 5 days, it's nah, you're seeing things.
Nope.
Also, why are you awake after 5 days?
Right.
What are you doing?
Well, we got to start moving through this because we're running a little bit lean on time, and I can talk to you guys about this all day. But we get right into they shake hands on it. We've got the black hole immediately. I love that they shake hands. They cut to that future with the black hole.
What a wonderful cut.
This is your future.
Right? Mm-hmm. I loved it so much. And then we go into probably my favorite montage of the series so far, where they're handing out the flyers, right? And we see Connor laughing from a distance. You touched on that earlier. What were we going to say?
Both the laughing at a distance is so Michael Scott cringy, plus the addition of the, hey, do you girls want to have the time of my life unconscious in my lab? Don't worry, I'll pay you.
Pepper spray.
And instantly, we're just you have no idea how to talk to people whatsoever.
Right.
And
You spent too long in that lab.
Yeah,
It's all hilarious.
100%. I do love the laugh from a distance. That was great. We see Larry passing out flyers, breaks Berkman's windshield wiper, throws the rest of them in the air, and then Berkman comes back and says, "What in the actual fuck?" He's very upset about the quality of the flyers.
And also remembers it as being his idea. This is totally my idea. This totally did not happen. Let's move on. But I have like 5 customers for you.
There's an example of your awake hallucinations is Berkman.
Yeah. I think that's just ego.
That might just be the drugs, though.
Alternate reality.
He can come in and say that with that much force of personality that you can, as much as I hate to say it, it's a Donald Trump thing. You can make people second guess themselves just by insisting this was a thing, this was a thing, this is real, and having that force of personality for good or for ill.
Confidence sells it. I am waiting for Donald Trump for the day after he loses this election to look somebody in the eyes and go, I never ran for president. I'm waiting for that.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
That definitely will happen.
But that also, I think, something that I mentioned last episode too was the fact that any time that Berkman gets quoted directly, it's not, oh, this is kind of what it was. It's, this is the exact thing that happened. So he has such clarity when it comes to that stuff. Who knows if this is his reality?
I have a lot of questions about his perception of reality.
Well, Berkman has this amazing quote. He says, a couple notes for you. Why don't you go back to the 1800s, say hello to your great-grandfather, and bite his dick off, because this makes me wish you were never born. Brutal.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Brutal.
Just yikes.
But to your point, he does bring in not only the first customer, but the next several. He set up the iCal. We bring in Eli. He's Elijah. You can call him Eli.
I don't want to call him anything.
I
No, God, no.
definitely want. I want to set up his dream. Megan, do you remember what his dream scenario is? What is?
How could I forget?
Yeah.
I'm going to have nightmares about it.
Oh, I know.
Basically, he wants to have sex with his ex, who dumped him in high school, mind you, in front of her entire family and their entire graduating class.
Of 2003, which tells you when this was.
Sure.
Which, you know, again, gives you a clear indication as to how long he's been fixating on this
And how
woman.
long he's been in college.
And her, well, he says that Berkman found this in college, just that he plays on the softball league.
They're on the same softball
Right.
team.
Right.
But
And in front of her current husband as well.
who just beat cancer, is a
Father of 3,
neurosurgeon.
one is adopted.
Oh, yeah,
a
what a
wonderful
dick.
man.
What a dick. All of that stuff together, please.
But what an MC, right? Like, Berkman just kills it.
My absolute
just
favorite
kills
part
it.
of this whole dream sequence was Shannon McCormick as the vampire dentist. I was
What was
dying.
that? Nothing. We use it for storage.
Yeah.
Your teeth? I mean, fangs. Like,
God, has Shannon McCormick get typecast or what?
he makes really, really good creepy people. This is like his 4th one in a row.
It was nice to see a cameo from his character in Day 5, though. It was pretty nice that they're joining those, those universes
it's a shared
together.
universe. I feel like, yeah.
It's like he's got Wash and he's got Ozpin, and then all of his live action stuff is just the creeper is cranked
This
up
is
to
a shared
55.
universe with Day 5. Like, be very interesting because the whole like brain frame thing centers around sleep.
Yeah.
This is the opposite of Day 5.
Actually,
It's the exact opposite.
Caitlin Geddes says you've been up for 5 days if you're a character in Day 5.
Yeah, I booed her.
Yeah.
I booed her. That was terrible, but I loved it.
So yeah, I liked the Shannon McCormick. I really liked the fact that Eli ends up like on top of Sam's 5th grade math teacher. I thought that
Who
moment
was trying to teach him the Pythagorean theorem? You don't learn that in 5th grade.
Terrible. He's a smart kid,
Is he though?
a privileged child. How about that, right? Like, it was some
Yeah.
accelerated math at a very young age. We didn't even get Hakeem Olajuwon. Hakeem the Dream wasn't there.
That was the joke.
I know.
The
So
fact that he wanted the dream.
I know.
It's very funny.
It was very good, and
very
it
well.
wasn't. I do like the fact that they didn't explicitly call that out. They just let you know that Hakeem Olajuwon's name was the Dream.
Didn't even get Akeem.
I know.
That might have been something where they were trying to get him, and he was like, "Nah," but they wanted to take.
But it
They
works.
wanted to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
So I know we are running a little lean on time because these episodes are so dense. But one of the things that I really wanted to ask you guys would be like, if this were a thing, and you could go purchase your ideal, your perfect like brain frame scenario, what would it be? Katie, can I start with you? Tell me about your brain frame scenario. What are you paying hard cash money American for in the brain frame?
Well, I'm going to be an easy act to follow because there's no way in hell
No, yeah.
Like, here, we're going to take you down to this basement with these creepy people, and we're going to hook you up to this very experimental technology that messes with your brain. And by the way, here are some side effects, and it's all fake. Like, let's see. And what are the pros of this? No, no, no. I'm the person where if people asked, oh, what fictional character would you want to be? I go, none, neither, none of them, because they all have problems.
But if it did exist and you could pay money
No
to have
strings.
I would still not be doing it.
No
You're just
strings.
out.
Because it's
no
just
strings.
creepy
no,
basement.
It's just too okay. Too creepo.
It's creepy experimental technology
Okay.
in someone's basement
All right.
that's several
Okay.
$100.
Let's have a fun
per
party
kid.
over on this side. Megan.
Side. All the cool kids are gonna be over here.
Yeah.
In
no,
the brain
I
frame.
bet your grandma would have had a better answer.
I don't think you don't know my grandma. I don't think she would have done it either.
I'm just giving you a
She
hard
would have
time.
called it malarkey and told me I could spend my money better somewhere else.
Triple word score from Malarkey. That is amazing. Megan, what do you got?
Malarkey. I'm the exact opposite
All right.
because I would want to be the protagonist.
Okay.
It's really hard not to just straight up say superpowers.
Sure.
I think flying or super speed. Like,
Okay.
I would absolutely love to be in a scenario where I have either one of those two superpowers.
Okay.
I think that'd be fantastic.
I like it.
Or I could just-
Protagonists have the most problems.
Or I could just be a straight up magical girl. That would be fun. That would be fun.
I
Madoka style.
agree.
I want a transformation sequence. Is that so wrong?
No, worth every penny, and you should get a YouTube link and everything when you're done.
Yes,
That's all.
yes.
You're easy. Mark, what do you got?
So am I. Star Wars.
Okay.
Nice. What? I
So,
never
yeah,
would have.
explain that to me a little bit.
would
What
have
are you
gotten
doing in
that.
Star Wars?
All of it.
Okay.
Yep.
Easy.
Multiple payments, different movie a night.
Oh,
different
I like you.
experiences.
You're
Are
a
you-
repeat customer
As
already.
whom?
So
I kinda like this.
stealing the Death Star
Wicked.
plans.
I don't care. Shit.
Stealing the Death Star plans. Fighting to Duel of the
So-
Fates, of course.
Of course.
I imagine.
I'll be one of the bosses who didn't die.
Of course.
Nice.
So it's so funny that you mentioned Star Wars because mine's along those same lines. So driving over here, I was like, I know I asked you guys this, and then I didn't come up with one of my own. And I'm like, real good, Dees.
Prick.
I know. So here's what I want. I want a road trip in the Millennium Falcon. It's myself, Chewie, Geralt from The Witcher 3, and I want Neil deGrasse Tyson there, kind of.
No, dude, Neil would be such a buzzkill.
No, he would be amazing. He'd be like, I talk about space all the time, but now I get to see it. He's just running to all the windows, and he's having the time of his life, and I'm playing that 3D Star Wars chess against
Chewie?
Against Chewie,
But
of
you'd-
course.
you'd have to
Against
lose.
Geralt, and Chewie's giving me tips in my ear,
You wouldn't play the card game? Which name escapes me? From Witcher.
Oh no, Gwent is terrible.
Yeah, Gwent.
Gwent is
No? Okay.
the worst part of that
I want
game.
to play Gwent with the Millennium Falcon.
I want Geralt there. I want to play again. I want to play
Do you
that
want Geralt
fucked
there
up-
specifically to help you pick up chicks?
I mean, he's so
in a-
cool. He's so cool.
See, I figured you
He's
were
just
there
brooding
specifically
over
so you
in the
could beat him
corner.
at space chess.
I just want that group, and I'm making Neil deGrasse Tyson's I'm doing good in the world because he actually gets to go to space instead of just talking about it. This is my brain frame.
And we've got our folks on Twitter using the hashtag ABTV Crunch Time taking part. Mike's vlog says, what kind of trip would I pay for in Crunch Time? GTA 5. Just put me in GTA 5 and give me invincibility
My man.
and flight.
I love it.
I'm officially worried
That's
about you.
an excellent answer.
Super worried
Look,
about
that
you.
you can work things out in that world. Right?
And-
It's better than doing it in real life.
Keeping it on brand, Caitlin Geddes says, not gonna lie, I would pay to become Neo pre-Volume 3 because I love Roman Torchwick so much.
So we're going
Okay,
full Ruby
okay.
on that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Staying on brand. I appreciate it.
I was gonna
The
say,
question
how
is,
great
can
would it
you
be to be a
talk?
huntress or a hunter?
Yeah.
That would be.
I would specifically be Professor Port, in case nobody was asking. But if you want to
The
tell us,
most problems.
yes, but I have a sweet mustache, an axe, and a blunderbuss. But if you want to tell us what your ideal dream scenario would be, let us know in the comments down below
Please.
or on Twitter using hashtag ABTVCrunch.
Gauntlet guns, guys.
That's such a
Gauntlet guns.
Only one.
Turkey fists. Okay. That is always the
Sorry,
answer.
that was an-
to,
Yeah,
to
wow.
everything.
Wow.
So we come out.
It's an involuntary response.
You guys had
Is
some
it?
great ansers. Eli, we come out of the dream. Eli's dick is bleeding. Things have gone very bad.
New side effect.
Just that's a new side
bleeding
effect.
from
I look at
orifice.
Larry like a champ. Yeah, Larry
Sorry,
is a
sorry.
champ. He's trying to help clean that up. It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, again, kind of got what he deserved because he's a horrible person for having this fantasy, I guess.
Is he? I don't know. It's not my jam,
it's
but
not
I'm just
really
not going to pass
hurting
that judgment.
anyone.
No, totally. And
He
it's
deserves
just
the
a
vampire.
dream. Fair enough. So they go back. We learn that Hannah's going to be kind of the third wheel going forward, right? Like obviously Sam can't do it anymore. They renegotiate. She's up to what, 35%?
Yeah.
And we
And
start
CFO.
And CFO, that's right. And we start lining up the rest of the clients. So like we're off and running.
Because Berkman already has like, yeah, the next one's not any freaky sex stuff. He just wants to ride on a dragon that sounds like Sean Connery. So pull up some Braveheart clips.
No, Dragonheart.
Dragonheart.
Not gonna lie.
Braveheart's very
Not
different.
gonna lie, being in Dragonheart also sounds pretty sweet.
True story. Yeah, no, I agree.
Fact.
So, we end with the guys in the hazmat suits. We lose one of them being sucked into the black hole, and then we roll credits. Guys, I know we got to wrap very soon, but I wanted to know, we ended last week's episode on Mark's amazing observation / prediction. We'll see how it proves out. I want to know where you think this is going. I know we've seen through 4. What's next? Do you have any observations from this week, or what are you kind of looking forward to in the weeks to come?
It's getting more. It's naturally building more tension, but we're seeing still a lot of one-note characters, and it's being presented like Sam is being presented as the worst possible person.
Sure.
So I still think that this is in somebody's mind. There have been less notes this episode to suggest that it's possibly Larry. Did we get in this one that there are people missing?
No.
No.
Okay.
No.
Nope.
Forgive me. Then I'll move away from that. But regardless, I think that this is still somebody's simulation in the brain frame. Whether there was nothing to specifically point out Larry in this episode, but I think he's one of the major people involved, and especially for how antagonized he's being.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Right. Yeah. Like I want a triumphant return from this man. Megan, what do you think? Like, what's?
I like Mark's idea of it going like full total recall on everybody. Where you don't know what's real. But I'm sticking with my theory that these agents are actually from, or at least, representing a shadow corporation that wants to use this technology for their own means.
I like that so much.
Yeah, I'm with that. I'm doubling down on the Men in Black idea.
I like it.
They're either Hammer Tech or they're the Men in Black. Could be either. Don't care.
Well, we are halfway through. We've got a long way to go from here to Black Hole. It's going to be really interesting to see. Guys, we have to wrap up. Thank you so much for joining us. All the way to the table, Katie, where can people get a hold of you?
You can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and YouTube at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. You can also find me on Snapchat at Kia Prime. Star Wars Rebels is Tuesdays. Arrow is Wednesdays. The Red vs. Blue season finale is this Wednesday. If things go well, we may well have a special guest, so stay tuned for that. Z Nation is actually right before this. We do it Mondays at 7. Thank you for Mike's Vlogs and Caitlin Geddes for holding down the Twitter hashtag. Thank you for Mike's Vlogs for holding it down in the live chat. You are wonderful human beings.
I'm Megan. You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at TheMenguin. That's TheMengun. I'm also on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz. Any articles for the movie Chick. That's Chick with 2 Ks. Be sure to check those out.
Mark B. Donica on Twitter, ABTV Rooster Team for all of us, where you can keep up with all of our updates. If you're going to the Burbank screening of Ruby this Wednesday, unfortunately, I'm not going to be at the RBB, but I'm going to be there, so find me there. Find me on Twitter.
Find him on Twitter.
Right.
Find him!
Find him!
You can find me at Peter the Dees. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Come back for episode 4. We'll see you then.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Por favor, no, Santa!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.